Jim Crosby is a renowned dog bite expert, dog trainer, and retired lieutenant from the Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff's Office. Mr. Crosby is sought after around the globe as an educator for dog trainers, law enforcement, and the general public. Jim can be hired for cases through his website, Freelance Dog Guy, in Jacksonville, Florida. This interview was conducted in May 2014 at Urban Dawgs Training Facility in Red Bank, New Jersey. What's been your deduction as to why dogs bite people, and then, delineate in specifically why kids are bitten or elderly folks, and also, why adults, and then why dog professionals also may get bit by dogs?
Well, the first thing is dogs bite because they have teeth.
They told us at the academy. Yep. I love that.
Anything that has teeth can bite you.
Exactly.
And if you screw up, it's likely to. Now, to back up and expand on that, dogs' primary not primary sense organ, but primary manipulation organ, their exploratory thing, everything they do, that we do with our lips and our thumbs and our fingers and our teeth, dogs do with their mouths. So, including communication, but most of their communication, as you well know, is not verbal. So, their way, for instance, of raising their voice is to first try body language and looking at you and snarling and going through all those behaviors that we're used to looking, even though that they're short, they're there. And then if they have to raise their voice, a pop and release, a quick engage and release level, usually a level 2 or 3, is how they start raising their voice and say, I don't get what you're saying, or you're bothering me, or I'm afraid and I need some space. So they're communicating. When it comes to the victims, kids get bitten, and 76% of all fatal dog attacks are to children 12 and under. Most of those are under 6, and most of those are toddlers or infants. That's my usual victim, is a baby or a child. Why? A couple of reasons. Number one, toddlers and older kids are at face level with dogs. I just worked the other day back in Florida a case on a consult with a dog, and the reason the dog bit the first time was because a strange child, whose mother probably should be at least spayed, if not put down, thought it was okay for this child to run up to this stranger's dog with a big smile and his eyes open and his teeth showing, and then grab the dog around the neck and wondered why their child got bit in the face. Well, it's right here, and the child scared the dog. The dog had a couple of other bites, and what were they? One was a woman who told the owner, I know dogs, they love me, and grabs him by the face and puts her face in his face. Another one was a vet tech that did the same thing in the vet's office. And the last one was a guy that, now by this time they're really squirrely, and they're going, stay back, he's, dude, I'm the dog whisperer, and stuck his hand in the dog's face, and the dog bit the guy. So, back to kids. Proximity. Faces are close. Parents don't train them to moderate their behavior, and parents are not supervising their contact between kids and dogs. Dogs don't understand. With infants, dogs don't necessarily understand. These are little people. They're squirmy, flappy, squeaky things that if you bite them, they make a noise. You pick them up, they make a noise. Oh, cool, it's time to play. Not so good. The other thing is that kids can't absorb, a 5-year-old cannot, the same bite that you or me might get and would inconvenience it is a lot more serious on the child because they're physically smaller. The second category of serious bite victims are elderly folks. They don't have the strength, they don't have the agility, they may get knocked down quickly, and a larger number of older people than us, middle-of-the-road people, have medical issues. So they may be on blood thinners. They may be on other medications that negatively impact their ability to survive violent injury. There are less healthy adults that are killed by dog attack than any of the other categories. It does happen, but then you look, and very often those otherwise healthy adults do have intervening issues like drug use or alcohol use, or there was something else going on at the time. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how the victim profiles work out. Why do professionals get bitten? Because we get too confident and screw up. I can say that every time I've been bitten, it's been my fault. I made a mistake. That's why, and I'll show them to you before I leave, that's why I wear Kevlar gloves and I have Kevlar sleeves. I'm working with that manufacturer for better gloves and sleeves. Hey, Silas, it'll give them a little bit more confidence and a little bit more safety so that they're not going to get hurt as bad. When I go in and do an evaluation on a dog that's killed somebody, I know this dog is dangerous, so I wear protective gear, and I don't care if it looks macho, because if I make a mistake, and even with clients' dogs, if you or I get called to a dog that's got a bite or two, and we're being asked to help fix this dog, help fix the relationship, to fix what's going on so this dog is as safe as they can be, if we make a mistake and get a reportable bite, it's uncomfortable for us, but that dog may lose its life. And I refuse to be the cause of an animal losing its life because I screwed up. So that's how us trainers get in trouble. You relax too soon. We all mess up. We all make mistakes.
No doubt.
A dog can bite you the first time in just under 2/10 of a second. Human reaction time is about 3/4 of a second. A dog can bite and release about 3 times in 1 second. So we're out of luck when it comes to thinking, oh, I'm the dog guy, I'm going to be fast. No.
You might miss a couple, but you're going to get bit.
Yeah, you're going to get bit.
So,
and the other thing is people don't realize, and they say, oh, well, you guys are good. No, we have learned to see those little subtle cues, that 3/4 of a second that we need before the dog goes off.
Antecedents are big.
And see, that's one of the issues I have with some people that do evaluations. I don't need to push a dog all the way to bite to see that he's going to.
Right.
Once the dog starts telling me, I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to bite you, I don't need to go further. There's nothing to be gained.
Jim works with many difficult cases. However, he also works with families that have dogs with basic issues that just require some training. So I wanted to talk to him about how he approaches those scenarios. You know, what I'm speaking to is the average 2.5 kids, mom and dad, dog, dogs barking or jumping on the counters and this and that. And people use, punitive, really harsh punitive methods to quote unquote train.
Yeah, no, because number one, you know as well as I do, most clients have a horrible sense of timing. So that even if they're only telling the dog no, they're probably missing 2 things the dog's done between what it did that you didn't want and what you're actually trying to, quote, correct. And to me, correction is not an action, it's a sequence. But to correct behavior, the first thing you do is interrupt it. Then you immediately redirect and then reinforce the redirection. So that takes punishment and aversive out of it completely. And I more and more feel that that's really the way to go. People don't understand, and again, when I first started training, I was taught, oh yeah, if your dog challenges your dominance, you grab them and pin them to the ground and you growl in their throat until they give up. The old alpha roll thing. I didn't like that, and a couple of times I did it, I got hurt too. So, I'm thinking, this is not the way. I don't want a dog that's afraid of me. I want a companion, a buddy that wants to work with me, not one that's afraid that if I pop up my hand, he's suddenly gonna get the stew knocked out of him. I mean, you can see with him.
My next question, which is the popular notion in dog culture that dogs have a moral imperative to gain rank on humans and be dominant. So you kind of touched upon it, but what is your your stance on the morally imperative dog?
Yeah, right.
Other than feed me more.
Yeah. And what I tell clients and people is that, okay, your dogs are not sitting there while you are working going, psst, when Dad shows weakness, going for the fridge. I got the door. You take the crisper drawer because I know that's where he keeps the good cheese. Not happening. Yes, there are in a lot of animals, apparently, social behaviors that we have classified or lumped together as dominance and submission. But it's not the clean-cut thing. Your dog doesn't think you're a dog. It doesn't think you're the alpha wolf, because guess what? They're not wolves either. They're domesticated dogs. They diverged evolutionarily, both physically and socially and behaviorally, a long time ago. Wolves make horrible pets. But as far as dominance and submission, no, you don't need to prove to your dog that you're the alpha and you're always in charge. Dogs do like structure. They like kids, they don't do well in chaos. So
unless it's controlled chaos.
Well, yeah, fun chaos is
Right.
one thing, but if they live in a chaotic home where stuff happens all the time, then the dog is going to be off balance too, just like the people.
Mm-hmm.
But the tradition, the popular idea that you have to be the alpha dog, I don't believe in it, and the research, the most recent researches I've seen, are that this is not behaviorally what's going on. Behavioral science now does not support that. I mean, it started back in the 19th century, when 18th to 19th century, when you had a male-dominated, very hierarchical, at least in the West, system of men were in charge, and there was a king in charge of them, or a president or somebody, and everybody else kind of fell in line. So when they went in to look into some of the behaviors, guess what they found? Because they expected to find it.
You know, and the thing that I, really try to get across to people, and I've noticed this in your writings and in our conversation today, is that we have to look at dogs as animals, even though they're vastly anthropomorphized in culture, and in some ways that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it can lead to a little more empathy. But we have to, as a society and as professionals, we really got to get people to look at dogs as dogs.
They're not little people in fur coats. They're aliens. They're an alien species that even physically sees the world differently than we are. Now, they have agreed to coexist with us and to be our friends. Good on them. There's plenty of times we don't deserve it. But they are little aliens. That their sight, their hearing, their smell is different than ours. So they don't operate like little people in fur coats. They operate like dogs.
What is your advice for people who have dogs that may have some behavior issues, and how to address them and to steer clear of things getting worse?
Find a competent professional to work with, and anybody can hang up a shingle saying they're a dog trainer. I prefer looking towards some of the national groups that are at least providing a threshold by either an instruction course or a certification. I think that within the industry we should be pushing for professionalism, combination of education, experience, continuing education credits, exposure to different things. I think it's important that when people have problems, they don't just pick somebody who has this grandiose label. They actually look into background.
And don't price shop.
Sometimes you get exactly what you pay for.
Exactly.
And the cheapest guy may not know what he's doing. And but if somebody's having behavior problems, especially if they're the kind of problem that can start escalating towards more severe problems, and a lot of them can, for instance, like food guarding or toy resource guarding of any kind, that can get nasty. React sooner or later and reach out to a reputable professional. I also tell people that a trainer should not do anything with your dog that they can't do in front of you and you feel comfortable with. There's no such thing as, well, we have secret methods we can't share. You're full of crap. Anything that somebody does with your dog, they should be able to do with you standing right there. And if as an owner, a trainer says they're going to do or does something you're not comfortable with, tell them right then. And if they don't like it, leave. Because as good trainers, I know I do, I'm sure you do, have a whole bunch of tools in your toolbox, so to speak. You know, it's the old thing, if all you have is just a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, you need to have a lot of stuff. And if a particular trainer has a one-way system and everything has to be handled that way, then I'm already suspicious, because there's no one way to do anything, especially, you know, dogs are individuals. What works with Silas may not work with Silas's twin brother, because they may have different temperaments and different personalities because they're individuals. I decided a long time ago, I don't want a dog like that. I don't want a dog that works like that. I don't want a dog that looks at me like that, thinking that, you know, worried that the hammer of Thor is going to come down on his head. And whether it's electronic, or whether it's physical punishment, or any kind of aversive, I don't see a reason for aversives at all. And they should never be, you know, physical punishment. And, you know, your dog doesn't understand what happens if you beat them up. All they know is that there's something wrong, and there's nothing they can do at that moment to fix it.
Other than bite you.
Or out of fear, because they finally decided, you know, it's like going back to the old alpha roll thing. The reason why the dog finally quits when you've restrained him is they're saying, I give up, just kill me and get it over with, because you're crazy, you're not responding to any of the signals, I've even tried to bite you and warn you off, just kill me and get it over with. That's total surrender. That's not what I want. I don't want an animal that now goes around afraid that I've got these huge anger issues and that I'm going to go nuts.
And then look at our culture with, you know, dominate the dog, hurt the dog, scare the dog. You've got a impressionable 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid watching mom or dad do these things. They are being reinforced for that kind of behavior, and then it's a vicious cycle.
And that's one of the cool things about some of the training programs that are out there, where we're reaching out to the kids. We're teaching the kids this is inappropriate, so then they go home and dad turns around to kick the crap out of the dog, and the kid goes, wait a minute, Dad, that's mean. That's not how you do this. I can show you how to make Scruffy sit. When I train animal control officers, one of the things I tell them is, if you're working on an animal abuse case and it's bona fide, keep your eyes open, because and look around you, because there may well be domestic abuse, there may well be child abuse. Not only with the police, but also, you know, the animal people in general, coordinating, sharing information, and then engaging, back to your original question and your original thing about education, engaging the public actively. Because, put it this way, there's about 30 to 34 people a year killed by dogs in the United States. And out of those 34, 33 and a half of them are fully preventable. Every once in a while something happens you can't. But if we can save 33 out of 34 lives, granted, that's only 34 out of 300 million, but if those 34 were friends of mine, I'd be real damn happy that you had managed to step in and saved even one of them.
A lot of stuff, I think, with dogs and people is basically just letting them know, don't do that, do this. Being, you know, and because there's way too much like gossamer and like all this, like, you know, you need to be a leader and you need to have energy. And what I always tell people is, look, you're already doing it.
Yeah.
You walked your dog today, you were in the backyard with the kids today, you threw the ball, you're already doing it. So you just need to do it more efficiently. That's all. You know, if it required some special conversion of energy, no one would have a dog.
Right.
No one would have one.
Right.
You'd have a bald eagle. That requires a lot of conversion of energy to have a bald eagle sit on your hand and have it do what you want.
Exactly.
Dogs are easy, I tell people, but the hard part
is the two-legger, not the four-legger.
Right, and the hard part is to remove the adversarial. Like to not think, oh, every time this dog does something, he's doing it to be an SOB.
And remove the idea, too, that when the dog does something wrong, that somehow you're a failure.
Right.
We're going to set both of you up to succeed. We're going to set both of you up to have the tools to know what's expected in both ways. I tell them, look, if all you've done is you've hired me to train your dog, but I haven't interacted and trained you, you're wasting my time and your money.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I take your dog back to you, if you don't know how to drive your dog, if you don't know how to change your behavior, if you don't know how to meet the needs of what's going on, then the dog's going to come back, and days, if not weeks later, you're going to call me back and say, your training didn't work.
But, you know, and I think that's an important thing to really focus on as a dog trainer, is to remove the mystery, is to remove the whole, well, I'm special. And I'm glad that you know,
it's not whispering.
It's not.
There is no whispering involved. It's not, I'm the doggy communicator. I'm sorry, there may be people who can do that. I'm not one of those special people. I speak dog. Now, I do speak it with an accent. I can't wiggle my ears very well, and my tail just doesn't interact. So I look at myself as having an impairment in speech. I know the body language. We can talk back and forth, and the dogs that I evaluate, for instance, that have killed people, I have to establish, even short term, a trusting relationship where we agree we're not going to hurt each other or be afraid of each other, so that we can work together for even a 45 minutes or an hour and find out what's going on with each other. And that's, if there's a secret that's to dealing with a really difficult dog, that's it, is establishing, at least for right this minute, a trusting, understandable, two-way relationship. We're not a threat to each other. We can at least agree to coexist in the same space and have a conversation. And to me, that's the center of dealing with a really dangerous dog. But even in the worst of the worst cases, it can still be done. And you can, without using brute force, without using threat, without using fear, you can establish, and it's not whispering, it's not psychic, it has nothing to do with energy. If I went into court and I said, and you were the judge, and I said, well, Judge Michaels, I evaluated this dog and my energy said this dog is dangerous, I'd get laughed off the stand. Because a decent attorney, the first question was, really? Can I see your energy meter?
Right.
Reproduce this. In fact, why don't you send a wave of energy at me so I can feel this? Give me a zap of that cosmic connection. And I tell you what, just stand up here in front of the jury and demonstrate to them how you can get your energy, and show them on a scale of 1 to 10 where your energy is.
Well, while you're at it, I want you to show me the red zone.
Yes, please. Show me the red zone.
Because is that next to
Here's
the
a
orange,
can of paint.
The orange zone, or is it next to the green? Yeah, I know.
And scientifically define red. What frequency of red? Is it cerulean red or ruby red, or is it a little more of a crimson? Or, you know, let's get, is it 250 nanometers or 300 nanometers on the wavelength? You know, it's...
Poppycock is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's unscientific, unsupportable. I have not been able to go into courts and give appraisals of what happened in a case and what might happen, which I really don't like projecting, but to at least analyze something by going in with some kind of weird, it reminds me of the guy on TV with the wild hair that says, aliens! Okay, show me one. You know, all those kinds of quantifiable, specific observations. No, I'm not saying dogs are little robots, but if you can quantify what you observe, you know, and then when they bring somebody in and say, well, we think he's dangerous because he acts mean. And the attorney on my side will go, well, define mean. Even on a scale of 1 to 5, where does it stop being stubborn and start being mean? And does your wife agree to the same scale? And what are your criteria? And how many times does the dog have to look sideways at you for you to decide he's mean? And in what period of time? And they just come apart. Because there's too much loosey-goosey stuff out there. And if you're evaluating it, especially for the court cases and stuff, if you're evaluating a dog in that venue, you damn sure better be able to be specific and defend your actions and your decisions.